I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Hilton High School for this wonderful occasion. My name is Brian Bartolo. I'm principal here at Hilton High School, and it's really an honor. I've had this honor a few times in my tenure as principal, and to induct new individuals and members to our Alumni Hall of Fame is really very special. And so I want to start by thanking those of you that took the time out of your busy lives to come here and celebrate this with us. These individuals will be recognized today. You'll hear a little bit about them, and eventually they are going to, hang in their photos will hang in the auditorium for all to note. And we pay special attention and homage to our Hall of Fame members often in this room at events such as our Bravo Night and award ceremonies when we talk about individuals to aspire to. So we look forward to the newest inductees being welcomed to this hall, and to get started to formally welcome you and to honor our great nation, I'd like to call members of our high school choir forward to lead us in the national anthem, and if you're able, please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, select members of our high school choir. And that's the second time they've performed the national anthem. As you could tell from their spirited attire, it is homecoming week at Hilton, and what a perfect opportunity to celebrate alumni in their welcoming home. I also have the honor of introducing a few folks this evening. Before I do, I know we have some distinguished guests in the audience, and I'd like to ask those who are currently members of our Alumni Hall of Fame in the audience to please stand. If you want to take note, I see we have a few. Welcome. Thank you also to our members of the Board of Education and Administration who are here today. On the stage joining me this evening, from your right to left, starting with our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Casey Kosorek. Next to Mr. Kosorek, representing the Board of Education as a trustee, and as well the Hilton Education Foundation, Ms. Aggie Senaway. Our current president of the Board of Education, Mrs. Nancy Pickering. And you'll hear a lot more about these individuals, but I'll give a quick introduction. Seated next to Ms. Pickering is our class of '85 member and 2016 inductee, Lieutenant Colonel Kyle Mullen. Class of '72 member and 2016 inductee, Ms. Ruth Hearn Blodgett. And our most recent grad, class of 2001 member and 2016 inductee, Dr. Darren John Lapomi. And next, it also gives me great pleasure to do one more introduction before I step aside. I'm going to call two of our students forward who are going to have musical performance for you this afternoon. Representing our school musical and our music department, we have Jason Kiersbilk and Julia Marino, who are going to sing a number from Irving Berlin's White Christmas, and the song is entitled Love and the Weather.
Unpredictable, irresponsible, unbelievable, unreliable. Ever since the world began, our Cupid and the weatherman. Love and the weather, birds of a feather, can't be depended upon. One day it's sunny, next day the sunshine is gone. Love and the weather, always together, planning another surprise, bringing the raindrops just like the tears to your eyes. Any guy with love close by is cozy and warm. Love walks out and kicks a guy right out of the warm into a storm. Moonlight romances have to take chances. That's what you learn with the dawn. Love and the weather can't be depended upon.
Love and the weather, birds of a feather, can't be depended upon. One day it's sunny, next day the sunshine is gone. Love and the weather, always together, planning another surprise, bringing the raindrops just like the tears to your eyes. Any gal whose Cupid's gown is cozy and warm, love walks out and kicks a gal right out of the warm into a storm. Moonlight romances have to take chances. That's what you learn with the dawn. Love and the weather can't be depended upon.
Any guy with love close by is cozy and warm.
Love walks out and kicks a gal right out of the warm
Into a storm, moonlight
romances, love's
golden chances.
break up to
Love and they're gone. Love and the weather change from night to dawn. Unpredictable,
irresponsible,
unbelievable.
unreliable.
Love and the weather cannot be depended upon.
Jason and Julia, thank you so much for that wonderful music performance. Great job. And next, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Hilton's Board of Education President, Ms. Nancy Picker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Hilton Central School District Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to congratulate you on your nomination into the Hall of Fame. We hope the teachers, staff, educational programs, clubs, sports, music, and other activities you've encountered while in Hilton build the foundation for your success as an adult. You have each taken a different path in life and accomplished much in your chosen fields. As you spend time in the district today, please know that you are an inspiration to our current students, and be sure to thank a teacher. Thank you very much. And now I would like to welcome fellow Board of Education member and member of the Board of the Hilton Education Foundation, Aggie Sinaway.
That was a beautiful beginning just to this particular conversation. The Hilton Education Foundation was founded in 2006. And the part of the reason it was founded was in order to try and extend educational experiences so the kids that we have that graduate from Hilton can end up in positions as we have with the Hall of Fame winners here. So we welcome you, we congratulate you, and we look forward to anybody that would be willing to work with the Hilton Education Foundation. Thank you very much.
And I believe next we're going to have a video. I believe it's entitled Hilton Pride.
I am most proud of the high levels of participation we've had in our staff development, especially as we work to expand our definition of what PD actually is. For example, we have over 55 secondary teachers involved in our online Cadet Tech series, and dozens of elementary teachers have been working with our district math coaches.
Here at Village Elementary, I am proud of the way that we are a student-centered community. From one school, one book, to one healthy village, we focus on the success of the whole child every day.
I would like to acknowledge the hard work of every single building's PBIS teams recently showcased at the 13th International PBIS Conference. Thanks so much to all.
Over the past 2 school years, the LTT department has made an effort to improve our communication and responsiveness to our staff. We've streamlined our online communication. We have decreased the job list turnaround time, and I'm very proud of the effort that our staff has put in to do that.
The thing I'm most proud about Northwood Elementary School is that the staff here, including teachers, SRPs, counselors, every form of staff in the building, work really hard to make this a place that is welcoming for children, and I see examples of that every day. The staff here really do care about the children and the families that they serve, and do a wonderful job in doing that, and definitely go the extra mile, and that's shown every day. And if you speak to the parents and the students in our school community, I think that they recognize that, and that's something I think we were all very proud of.
What I am most proud of, I'm most proud of the adults, our teachers and our coaches that lead our student athletes within our athletic department. Our teams perform extremely well on the athletic field. We are one of the top programs in our league and in the section, but probably the thing that I'm most proud of is the way our adults lead our kids. Academically, we have probably over 95% of our varsity teams achieve scholar athlete recognition through New York State Public High School Athletic Association, and you look at our student athletes as they are leaders throughout the school and community and truly foster an environment that takes pride in being a cadet. And that comes from the leadership of our coaches, the adults that are working with our kids. So I'm most proud of you, the adults who lead our students, both academically and athletically.
At Merton Williams this past fall, we were up for redesignation to be an essential elements schools to watch. And in the past, when we were authorized and redesignated, the application was filled out by administration as well as a couple of teachers. This year, the teachers that have completed the application in the past came up with the idea that more input would provide a more comprehensive application. So this past fall, the entire staff took part in completing the application and spent hours adding their input, writing narratives, including evidence and details so that we could turn in a very comprehensive application. And in the end, we were redesignated, which was excellent. But on top of that, we received accolades from the review committee that looked at our application and came out to review our school, because we were the only school that had the entire staff participate to give a full overview of what our school is like.
As a district, we're moving towards a culture where collaboration is the norm. And it's through this collaboration where we make decisions what's best for Hilton Central School District students. I am really proud of all of the hard work that's done by so many people in the areas of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And I'm really proud that our work is finally coming to fruition.
When asked the question, what am I proud of, or the most proud of, the first thing that comes to mind is how proud I am of our staff here at Hilton High School. Despite all the changes, increased regulations, and things that are somewhat out of our control, our staff remains steadfast in their commitment to their students. They do what's best for kids no matter what, and I appreciate them advocating for kids and working so hard on behalf of their students. And the second thing I think I'm so proud of is our students here at Hilton High School. With increased standards, increased testing, the amount of expectations that have risen for them, increased academic standards. They've not only met those and risen above them, but have also remained just well-balanced, great kids who stay involved, and they're really why we do what we do. Taking a little page of that video about what we're proud about, walking through the halls of Hilton High School today and having the opportunity to observe these three individuals engaged in a dialogue with our students was my favorite part of the day. I mean, the lunch was great, Scott, it really was. But actually getting a chance to see our kids listen and learn from three very different individuals with different stories to tell, but that their beginnings were here at Hilton High School and they went on to do great things. So it made us very proud to share their stories with our students, and that's what makes all the difference. And we hope that some of them will aspire to greatness as well. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent of schools, Mr. Casey Kosorek, who is going to take over from here. Mr. Kosorek.
Okay, excellent. So every day it's a great day to be a cadet, but today is extra special. We have so many things to celebrate. If you didn't get goosebumps from being in that pep assembly and then meeting these fine individuals, I don't know if you have a heart rate, but just want to start out by thanking all the folks that planned today. I know we have some other dignitaries, past mayor, past superintendent, assistant superintendent for business, several community members, a representative from Mr. Robach's office. So that speaks volumes to how special today is. And we're just so fortunate, as Mr. Barlow spoke about, having lunch with these fantastic individuals, just being in awe to see what they have developed as human beings through their education here at Hilton, and then the skills that they took out and the hard work and dedication. Darren and I had a great conversation about when you reach higher education and the grit that it takes to be successful, and just great conversations and so many connections. So just so pleased. So at this point in time, I'll introduce each inductee. They'll have an opportunity to share some words with you, and then we'll present them with the award over to your left on the stage. So our first inductee this year for the class of 2016 is Ruth Hearn Blodgett from the class of 1972. Interesting personal story that I have about Ruth is when I became superintendent of schools, one of the first events that I participated in was the Hall of Fame induction for the girls cross country team for the Athletic Hall of Fame. And she came up to me after and just introduced herself and told me a little bit about why she's so proud about Hilton, and it really comes full circle, so we had an opportunity to talk more about that today. So Ruth Hearn Blodgett, also known as Ruth Logan Hearn, realized her job of becoming a published author after raising 6 children and working 2 jobs. She received her first publishing contract on June 9th, 2009, and still has the editor's message on her voicemail as it signifies the culmination of decades of hope and hard work. Mrs. Blodgett's first book, Winter's End, was featured in Women's World magazine and quickly sold out. As the popularity of her work grew, Mrs. Blodgett's literary agent was able to garner her contracts with multiple publishing houses, including HarperCollins, Harlequin, Franciscan Media, Gilead Publishing, St. Martin's Press, and Penguin Random House. She has been nominated for multiple literary awards, including the Christie Award, the Holt Medallion, and the Carroll Award. With well over 1 million books in print, Mrs. Blodgett is currently under contract with 5 publishers. Her books are uplifting and portray life-learned lessons where taking the high road always leads to the correct path. She married Dave, her high school sweetheart, in 1973 and has 6 amazing children. Ruthie considers their success her greatest accomplishment. She also claims the daughter of her heart, her beautiful niece, and thanks God for her abundant blessings. Please put your hands together for Ruth Hearn Blodgett.
I have to say that there is an overwhelming number of people here from our very productive family, including many small ones, so thank you for your indulgences with them. We have 14 beautiful grandchildren, many of whom are here running around in the back right now. First, I'd like to congratulate Kyle and Darren and just say that I am honored and pleased to be up here with you, that your careers speak so well of your devotion, your determination, and it's an absolute honor to be here with you today. And I'm possibly awed to be sharing the stage with them because these men have so many letters after their names that it's just kind of amazing. I'd like to thank Casey Kosorek over there and the committee for their work at looking at the applications, for approving me, which I am thrilled with, and for the efforts that Grace Griffey has put into putting so much of this together. I'm sure there are other people, but Grace was the one who was always on the other end of my emails. And Grace and I had met a couple of years ago when she was doing some freelance work when we did a Help for the Homeless project at our farm. And Grace came to cover that for the Suburban News and made a whole bunch of my daycare kids very happy by giving them a picture in the Suburban News and some notice. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my Aunt Mary Gavigan, sitting up there in the corner. Mary Ikas Gavigan was a longtime Hilton teacher and reading director here. She also served on the Parma Town Board, and she has been a wonderful inspiration in so many things. It was Aunt Mary and the Hilton Readers Guild that talked to me about nominating me, and I was thrilled. And I was thrilled for a number of reasons, not just because it's a marvelous thing, but because I didn't go to college. I don't have any of those letters after my name. I pushed, and my husband pushed our children to go and get a whole lot of those letters after their names, but I don't have any of those after my name. So to be able to stand here and show kids, to talk to the classes today and tell kids that you can follow your dreams and you can do it along multiple paths was a wonderful thing, that they don't have to follow one prescribed path. They can go after their dreams in multiple ways. So Aunt Mary, thank you very much. Also, my mother-in-law, Teresa Blodgett, who is over here, set an example for me of determination and hard work. This was not always the norm in my family. This was something that I saw and recognized as a condition towards success. To learn, it's great to be smart, but if you don't have a good work ethic, it's really hard to go places. The two things together are a formula for success and I think an amazing life. My husband Dave, who I married 43 years ago, and I would do it all over again in a heartbeat, Dave. My amazing kids, who some of whom are here and some of whom are not, and my beautiful stolen daughter Mandy over here. And this is going to sound a little funny, but I'm going to thank my daycare families who have been with me on and off for 15 years, because they have allowed me to take their children, to model characters after them, to win awards based on their children, to see them through the ups and downs of their lives, trials and hardships that I have woven into books that were inspired by very brave people. And the moments that they have shared with me and then allowed me to share with others as a form of inspiration, that yes, you can do well, you can go home again, you can rise above things like breast cancer, loss of a child, divorce. There are things that made our paths, and we can rise up and be successful as a result of them. And those are examples that my daycare families have given to me. I'm going to skip a little bit of this that I have down here, but I'm going to tell you that I have 4 sayings that I keep at my side, close to my heart. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Eleanor Roosevelt. No matter what happens, what people say, what people do, your part in that is to not give them permission to steal your joy, to steal your glory, to steal your faith, or any other part of it. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Irma Bombeck, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would have not a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me. This one is one of my all-time favorites, and many have heard it. Those who say something can't be done should get out of the way of those doing it. And fourth, from Ecclesiastes, another favorite, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. The power of prayer and kindness is learned at a young age and has a big effect on a lot of lives. The kindness of neighbors and teachers are not something that I ever take lightly. I was born into poverty. I was raised in a home that could only be called dysfunctional. It might have been the definition of the word. It was a life of squalor that I recall, because by the time I was 5 years old, my mother had become an alcoholic, was dreadfully depressed and suicidal. And my father, who had already been an alcoholic, was not a bit of help when it came to this situation. So my conscious memory of them for the longest time was that. Two alcoholics, a very, very, very sad setting. And if it weren't for the kindness of teachers, I don't know where I would be today. If it wasn't for the kindness of those neighbors who didn't care that I might be the smelly kid in class or the kid whose hair was not brushed, that I might be the neighbor from the messy house up the road, those neighbors and those teachers helped to inspire the confidence in me that took me to where I am today. I will never forget that, and I use those examples in a number of my books because it matters. Every time you do a kindness for a child, no matter what the situation, you have no idea at what kind of benefits that will reap later on. So I say, be nice to those kids. Give them that loving example. There was a time, there were 9 children in the family. I was number 7, and my older brothers and sisters, there was a gap. My brother that was next to me, Terry, is sitting here in the audience today with his wife, Terry. And when I was about 12, the race riots throughout Rochester had caused a lot of change and a lot of dissension. Busing was implemented. I was a little Catholic school kid walking down the road, about 12 years old, and the busing had just begun. The bus driver pulled up at my street at Flower City Park and let off a crowd of very angry African American kids. They beat me up. In their eyes, I was the enemy. They had no idea that I was probably as poor or poorer than they were because I was wearing my little borrowed Catholic school uniform. And I remember being so scared, and I went home, and my parents did nothing. They said nothing. I think at that time they were so afraid of what would happen if they called the police, because then their circumstances would be discovered, that it was better to just pretend it was all okay. My brother, and I'm going to try not to get emotional, my brother came home from Brockport College, and he said, "It'll be okay." He marched himself down to Don Marshall High School, went into the principal's office and told him what happened and said, "You can't allow this. You have to make sure that in these troubled times, these kids get off where they're supposed to, and that my sister never has to go through this." He came through for me in a moment when there was no one else. I will never forget it. But also, when he graduated from high school, he had given me a senior picture, and on the back of that senior picture it said, "Do not let your environment control you. You control it." Those words have stuck with me forever. And they meant, a great deal. The teachers here at Hilton were very, very instrumental to me. One in particular, Joyce Bagley, among many wonderful ones, but Joyce was the English teacher that inspired me and said, Ruth, you have something that not everybody has. God has given you a talent. Explore it. Have fun with it. Use it. And I kept that with me until I got to a point in my life where I had time to write. At Nazareth, Sister Mariel said the same kind of thing. And unfortunately, she passed away before I reached those writing contracts. But I'm thinking she's up in heaven knowing what has happened and knowing how good it is. The healing of forgiveness and using life's lessons to make better versions of ourselves than we ever thought possible is huge. My mother became sober when I was in my 30s. For the first time ever, I got to know the wonderful woman that was inside the person that I grew up knowing. I had about 10 years with her, sober and normal, 10 years to get to know her and see that light shining through her. And when she was dying of cancer, we were cleaning out some things, and I found a cache of writings. And I was like, Mom, are these yours? And she said, yes. And I said, they're beautiful. And she said, your talent came from me. And I said, this is amazing. I can never even hope to be this good. And she said, oh, you will. And someday, when you are published, would you please use part of my name in your writing name so that everyone will know you were mine? Which is why I use her name, Logan Hearn, as part of my writing name. I want to thank my children, my husband for being so wonderfully supportive, my children for being amazing. They have been the wind beneath my wings, and I honestly, they were my cheerleaders through all those 8 years of rejections. And you have to be tough to be in this business because a lot of time, rejection is just part of it. It was a pleasure to raise them and to be their mom. And because I think I have certainly used up my 7 minutes, I'm going to close right there, but with a thank you to all of you, and a thank you again to the committee and to the school board for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Sorry, gotta go this way.
Here's your award.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Oh, it's happy.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you. Our next inductee is Darren John Lapomi, PhD, class of 2001. Dr. Darren Lapomi is assistant professor at the University of California, San Diego, Department of Nanoengineering. After graduating Hilton High School, he went on to earn a BA in chemistry from Boston University, where he graduated summa cum laude. From there, Dr. Lapomi earned a PhD in chemistry from Harvard University under an American Chemical Society graduate fellowship. He has also earned a business certificate and done postdoctoral work at Stanford University. Dr. Lapomi is a leading innovator in lifelike electronic material for solar energy harvesting, as well as wearable and implantable health monitors. His work aims to create a new class of semiconducting polymers that have properties inspired by biological tissue, extreme elasticity, biodegradability, the ability to self-heal, and sensitivity to a range of chemical, biological, mechanical, and optimal signals. That was a mouthful. At the age of 33, Dr. Lapomi has authored 52 peer-reviewed publications, is an inventor of 5 patents, and has garnered $3.2 million in federal research funding, including a $2.2 million grant from the National Institutes of Health. Please join me in congratulating Dr. John Lapomi, class of 2001.
Thank you so much for coming on such a beautiful afternoon. It's really a great day to be back at Hilton High School. I think the last time I was on this stage speaking, I was Secretary General of the Model UN. And I remember giving a bunch of nervous handshakes to awardees from around New York State that won Best Delegate from this or that committee. So I'd like to thank also the committee, Aggie, for the generous nomination. It's a real honor to share this stage with Ruth and Kyle. Also, it was a really touching speech. I wrote my speech. Scientists don't normally write down what they're going to say. They follow PowerPoint and they point to it with a shaky laser pointer. So I wrote this speech on the plane, and it was the most turbulent flight I've ever experienced. So I'm going to screw up a lot because there are smears on the page from what must have been 20-foot undulations in the altitude of the plane, in like 100 milliseconds, which caused a lot of people to scream. So, so to the students in the audience, and I know there aren't too many, but there are a few. I thought I would try to give some words of advice or encouragement, and a lot of people try to give you advice, but much of the time what you'll find is that they tell you to do what they did to sort of justify their life choices. And some other people might tell you to follow a passion, but a passion is a very difficult thing to define, and it's the word passion's thrown around in a little bit of a trite way. When you look at the biographies of people who have accomplished a lot of things, you find that what they followed was not necessarily passion, but opportunity. Passion, knowledge, and ability are the tools that allow one to take advantage of opportunities. So when I was a student at Hilton High School, my passion told me to become a trombone player in an orchestra. And I think the two most influential aspects of my education at Hilton High School were music and chemistry. So I see Mr. Stott in the audience. I had a great, is Nancy here too? I had a great opportunity to sit in on one of Ms. Russo's lessons, and also to sit in on AP and IB chemistry. So what ended up happening was I had applied for music schools, and I enjoyed music so much, but I think I had a slightly inflated opinion of my ability. So, I could get an all-county chair, an area all-state chair, but when you really try to perform at the highest level in any field, people will come out of the woodwork who are just insanely good. And one of those people actually was from Monroe County, who was, in a way, a competitor, and his name is Ward Stairs, currently the director of the RPO. Honestly, you probably didn't even know who I was at the time, but I definitely knew who he was. So when I failed to get into Eastman or Northwestern for music, I was heartbroken. I decided to take a chance on Boston University. It's a place that I had never visited, but they did give me the most financial aid. So I chose a major of biomedical engineering for an equally evolved reason, and that is that it had the most syllables. A week after I arrived at BU, 9/11 happened, and it changed my outlook on everything forever, as it did with most of the people in this room. I no longer cared about technology, and I switched my major to anthropology so that I could try to understand the reasons why people act the way they do. But during my freshman year at BU, I had a great experience in Chemistry 101 and 102, which rekindled my interest in atoms and molecules that I developed because of the charisma and knowledge of Mr. Tom Dowd. who I had in 10th grade and 11th grade for chemistry and AP chemistry. I then changed my major for the last time to chemistry. I joined a research group and I published 2 first author papers as an undergraduate, which got me into the PhD program at Harvard. And I should say that, that my experience in band, and I was in every band, that was the one place where I really had to develop my sense of motivation outside the classroom to study, because math and science courses, I loved them, and I found that with 5 classes per week or 4 classes per week, I could just kind of get it, and I could do enough of the homework to do well enough on the exams. With music, if you showed up to a lesson and you hadn't practiced, it's immediate. The effect is immediate. So I took the disappointment in Mr. Stodd's face was immediate. So I took that. I took the instruction in music, and while I was not playing much music in college, it is why I was able to study and get A's and write papers. So at this point, I was a graduate student at Harvard, and this isn't written on my list. It just is kind of a funny anecdote. In between my undergraduate and graduate careers, I stayed in the lab where I did research because I didn't have a summer job, and that was a huge mistake. I should have gone traveling the world, on a shoestring budget or something. But instead, I just burned myself out. And the reason I did that, it's funny the way this wasn't passion. This was just something that happened that had a profound effect on my later choices. I had a roommate and a studio apartment. I had already graduated. This kid was still a student at BU, and he would play a video game called Counter-Strike until 4 a.m. Every single night. And I was so annoyed by this that I took my computer and all of my stuff and moved it into the lab. And I only used the room for sleeping. And as a result, I burned myself out of the topic that I was working on. So when I got to Harvard, this elite place with world-class faculty, I got there and literally had no idea what I was going to do because I did not want to work on the same topic. So my confidence is a little bit shaken several times by doubt, competition from other students, hard classes, and at one point I considered putting my chemistry skills to good use by opening a brewery. Eventually I got it together. I defended my PhD thesis and earned a postdoctoral fellowship in chemical engineering at Stanford, which is sponsored by the CIA. And that sounds very cool and James Bond-esque. And at one point, and it sort of was, but not really, and here's why. When they gave us a tour of the CIA, the tour consisted of 3 rooms, the lobby, the museum, and the gift shop. And then we didn't see any backward shooting guns or exploding cars. So Stanford served as the launching point for my career as a professor. While I applied for positions at famous companies like IBM and Apple, anything I could think of, my current goals, while I applied for these positions, my real passion was for academic freedom. Sort of wanted the ability to work on whatever scientific or technological problem that really inspired me, like Star Trek. Like I want to make Star Trek happen. That's my goal. I want that universe today, if possible. So my current goals are to make materials for solar panels that cost $1 per square foot, so really cheap stuff. Materials that are electronic materials that are indestructible. So picture opening up your computer, taking out a chip, and stretching it by a factor of 10. I want to make a material that can do that. If you can do that, you can solve the energy crisis. You can make wearable devices for electronic skin, biomedical monitoring, implantable devices. I have a new idea for a project which is based on telesurgery using augmented reality. So imagine there's one specialist who can do a surgery in the world, and he or she lives in Rochester. And you need to do a surgery on somebody in Singapore, 10,000 miles away. The vision is to have the doctor put on a virtual reality headset and a glove that has actuators in it that make the glove feel like you're actually working inside a patient. Meanwhile, there's a robot with sensors on the gloves that are mimicking the doctor's motions with micrometer accuracy. So that's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but there's time. Okay, I've had a group of extraordinary students in my research group, so this is my 5th year as now a tenured associate professor at UC San Diego. 3 of my former student trainees are at Stanford. One is a postdoc at MIT, and another one turned his PhD thesis into a company and has already raised $1 million in seed funding from angel investors and venture capital. I'd like to acknowledge several teachers that I've had at Village Elementary, Merton Williams, and the high school, including starting very early on, Marianne O'Brien, Kay Melvin. I was very active in the Model United Nations, so I'd like to thank Bob Phillips and Kim Saxton, Pat Beggy for being just a fantastically inspirational English teacher. So writing to a zeroth order approximation, I know that's an engineering term, but to a zeroth order approximation, I'm a writer. I write about my work. That's how it gets out into the world, and that's how it gets funded. Music, I've already mentioned Tim Stott and Nancy Russo, and also Dave Smalley, who was at Merton Williams, but was also my piano teacher growing up. Chuck Partridge, Steve Williams in social studies and math, John Farnham in social studies, and I want to thank especially my scientific mentors, Tom Dowd and the late great Daryl Dupre, whose REACH program was the closest thing to a PhD experience that I had experienced between the ages of 10 and 22. So REACH really prepared me in that way. I'd like to also thank finally my parents, Roz and Mars Lupomi, who gave me the love and encouragement to pursue my dreams, no matter how often my dreams change. So thank you very much for your attention. Thanks.
And last, and certainly not least, of our inductees for this class of the Alumni Hall of Fame is Lieutenant Colonel Kyle D. Mullen, class of 1985. Lieutenant Colonel Kyle D. Mullen earned a Bachelor's of Science in Aeronautical and Astronautical Engineering from Purdue University, and then went on to serve in the U.S. Air Force, earning a Master's of Science in Aeronautical Science from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University while on active duty. He retired in 2012 as Deputy Chief, C-21SR Operations Division, Director of Operations, Headquarters Air Combat Command, leading a division tasked to organize, train, and equip command and control battle management and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance unit for the combat air forces. During his 23-year military career, Lieutenant Colonel Mullen accumulated 2,900 total flying hours, 150 combat hours, and over 900 hours of combat support flight time. He has numerous military awards and decorations, including a Bronze Star and a Defense Meritorious Service Medal. Please put your hands together for Lieutenant Colonel Kyle D. Mullen. So it dawned on me that I'm the only person standing between you and punch and cookies, so I'll be brief. Congratulations to Ruth and Darren. Darren, I think, you mentioned about the last time you were standing on this stage. I think I stood behind this podium with the National Honor Society back then, so I echo your comments. Like Darren, too, I'm also a PowerPoint person. That's what you do in the Air Force. The military doesn't run on soldiers and guns and things like that. It runs on PowerPoint. Just ask anybody in the Pentagon, which thankfully I wasn't there. I do want to say one thing. First of all, I want to thank the music department. When a time when the national anthem is such controversy here in America, those kids were outstanding. So Casey and Mr. Barlow, my applause to you for what students you have and the talent they have. That's just awesome. It was very good to talk to the students today, to look at them and see in them what we had at some point. As we look back now and think about the energy, things have changed a lot. I joked with the principal earlier this week, and we were talking about what classes I would go see, and he said, well, there's digital drawing for production and a physics class. And I said, well, that's good. I took both of those classes, except digital drawing for production in my time was drafting, and we only had paper and pencils. And I think right now, as my daughter took it 2 years ago, that they didn't have a single paper and pencil. Everything was on a computer. And so when I went down there today and I looked at what the students were doing, is they had a busy work first few minutes of the class, and the teacher said, put away your Chromebooks. So to Mike Zaffis, my hat's off to you for bringing the technology forward. My job has always been about technology, and what this school has right now is absolutely outstanding. And that's district-wide from K to 12. Having been around the U.S., our children have been in Florida schools, Oklahoma, Virginia, and the one thing we noted is that every place we went, we got better. And we got better when we came home because of the technology and primarily because of the teachers. And I look at the dedication of all the teachers. And I go back, where's my third grade teacher? She's right up there. So I think about the lessons you had in classes. And I echo, Ruth, what you said about there's a difference with a teacher. Someday you had a bad day and you had a teacher that was there. Someday you had a teacher that inspired you. I talked to some students, one of the best classes I had was sophomore history. It's European history. It's not all that great. It's not all exciting. But the lessons we had with O.J. Vitas, sometimes we'd throw the book away and we'd just talk. And you had a room full of kids that just could talk with a teacher, somewhat on a peer level, but also he was stimulating us to talk about feelings, to talk about issues. He would wrap in current events and then relate it back to old world European history. So it was very interesting, especially at that time. We were here in the Cold War, so we were talking a lot about the East versus West, and he could wrap that in. I think he's here somewhere, if not, Steve Williams. You have the best recipe for venison heart I've ever had. Of course, I've never had venison heart after I had it in your classroom. But that's one of those weird things. You mix in calculus with venison heart from a crock pot. Kind of brings back to home that you're in farm country when your teachers all leave around sometime in October because it's the first day of hunting season. And that's when you know what it is, because it's all the substitutes there and all the other classmates are gone. But that defines you as a person, and that defines who you are. And you know that when you look back, you came from Hilton, you're proud to be a cadet. And I think that's the big thing, is that you're proud to be a cadet when you look back. And I have to say, Mike Jeruts, you bring back the student athlete, but I would also say the student musician, the student ambassador. But it's all about the student, and that was the focus while we were here. It's the focus today. It's why you're the 2 years running now, I think, a top-rated workplace to work in the Rochester area, and that's based on the staff. The families are the other part. We grew up in a time. It's changed over time. If you look from 72 graduate to a 2001 graduate, the definition of family was a lot different. But you talk about neighbors that helped you out. We knew who our neighbors were. We knew our families. We had our friends. We
grew up together, we stayed together, and you know, when it came time as you're a senior sitting, well, not anymore, but when you had homeroom here in the auditorium, you knew who your class was, and you bonded with them. And as you look back now over time, you're proud of every one of them because of how they've achieved it, and it's kind of cool because when you come to a sporting event now or a school event, it's like a mini homecoming reunion because you see, oh, hey, there's so-and-so, oh, you got kids in the class too, great, you know. And next thing you know, you realize that you're not any different than your peers. You're equally all successful. So on that note, I want to say thank you to a few people. So first of all, thank you to the committee. It's an honor to be up here. And I want to thank the district and the administration for your kind words today. It was an honor to be here at the school. Thank you very much for that. I would be remiss without saying thank you to my family. So it's the upbringing you have. I had an older sister and an older brother. I was tormented by mine, though. Not really. The interesting thing when you come through as a family, like, you know, names that are known is, okay, which one do you belong to? I think the realization that life had come full circle was when my third grade class is to bring parents in for open house, and Dad runs into his third grade teacher. And yet I come back in for open house with the kids, and I run into my third grade teacher. So it's kind of come full circle, and it's punishment for the kids if you live in a small town where everybody knows your name. So I thank you to my family. I thank you to my wife and kids who have been supportive. If you want to know the definition of resiliency, you just got to look at my kids. So 4 different schools, a lot of moves, and they're here. So it's been a great thing. On that, I will say thank you for this honor. It's awesome. And to Emily and Tyler, I'm watching you. Always watching you. Thank you very much.
Wow, if we didn't learn something profound today after those speeches, fantastic. I know it's homecoming weekend, and we have so many important people here today, and it was just really great to hear about those pearls of wisdom from each of our inductees. So one of the selfish things that I'll share with you is I did have the opportunity to call each one of these individuals and let them know that they had been had received the nomination and were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And wow, what a special moment, selfishly for me, to have those conversations and how knowledgeable, how humbled, how hardworking. Great examples of being a cadet. So I want to thank you for being here today. As we finish up our celebration, we do invite everyone out for a opportunity to engage with the public out in the foyer and enjoy some cookies. So thank you so much, and let's give one last round of applause for our inductees.